In a mansion where grown men died begging for mercy, 18-month-old Lily did the unthinkable. She looked Korea's most dangerous crime lord in the eyes and asked him to hold her. The marble halls of June Park's domain echoed with a sound that shouldn't exist in his world. A baby's desperate crying cutting through the suffocating silence like a blade through silk. 27 years of building an empire on fear, and someone had brought innocence into his sanctuary of shadows. Before we continue, if you want to know how the soft cry of an innocent baby softened the heart of the most feared man, hit that subscribe button right now and drop a comment where you are watching from. Believe me, you don't want to miss what happens next. June's handcrafted Italian shoes clicked against the pristine floor as he moved toward the disturbance, his hand instinctively moving to the Glock beneath his jacket. He'd killed for less than this disruption. Much less. But when he rounded the corner into the East Wing, the scene that greeted him short-circuited every violent instinct. Mia Cross, the night cleaner he barely noticed, knelt frantically beside an overturned basket of supplies. Bottles of expensive cleaning solution spread across the floor like spilled blood. And there, in the center of the chaos, sat the source of the impossible sound. Tiny, fearless, and wailing as if the world itself had betrayed her. June stepped into the light, and the temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. Even hardened killers fell silent when June Park entered a room. This baby should have sensed the danger radiating from him like heat from a furnace. Instead, she looked up through tear-soaked lashes and reached both chubby arms toward him. The crying stopped. Just like that, June froze. A man who'd never hesitated, even with a gun to his own head. Those impossibly innocent brown eyes locked onto his, and tiny fingers opened and closed in the universal gesture every parent recognized. She wanted him, the monster, the nightmare that made Seoul's underworld wake up in cold sweats. Up, the baby whispered, voice still thick with tears. Up, please. Time suspended itself between heartbeats. June stared at this fearless little creature who saw him as safety instead of death, and something cracked inside his chest. Something he'd buried so deep he'd forgotten it existed. But what happens when the most dangerous man in Korea realizes this innocent child might be the one thing that could destroy him or save him? Mia's knees trembled against the cold marble as she watched Seoul's most feared crime lord stare at her daughter like she'd materialized from another dimension. Every instinct screamed at her to snatch Lily and run, but her muscles had turned to lead. She'd heard the whispered stories in the staff quarters. How June Park had built his empire on the bones of men who'd crossed him. How his enemies simply vanished into the Han River, never to surface again. How he could end a life with the same casual indifference most people showed swatting a fly. But the man frozen before them didn't look like a killer. He looked broken. June's dark eyes held a haunted quality that Mia recognized from her own mirror. The look of someone carrying ghosts. His perfectly styled black hair caught the hallway light, and she noticed his hands, those instruments of death the underground feared, were shaking. "I'm so sorry, sir," Mia whispered, her Kenyan accent thickening with terror. "She knocked over my supplies and I couldn't. She won't stop crying for strangers usually. I don't know why." "How old?" June's voice came out rougher than broken glass. 18 months. Mia's arms ached to reach for Lily, but her daughter remained fixated on the dangerous man above her. Tiny hands still stretched upward in complete trust. Something flickered across June's features. A micro-expression of pain so acute it made Mia's chest tighten. For a heartbeat, the monster disappeared entirely, replaced by someone who looked like he was drowning. "She would have been 19 months," he murmured, so quietly Mia almost missed it. "She would have been." Past tense. The words hung in the space between them like a confession, and suddenly Mia understood the source of those haunted eyes. This man, this killer, had lost a child. Lily's patience ran out. She pushed herself up on unsteady legs and took 2 wobbling steps toward June. her chubby fingers grasping for his expensive suit pants. Up! Up! June jerked backward as if she were made of fire, but Lily's determination was legendary. She'd been walking for 3 months and treated every obstacle like a personal challenge. She grabbed hold of his leg and held on, looking up at him with the unwavering faith only children possessed. She doesn't usually, Mia started, then stopped, because watching June's face was like witnessing an internal war. Fear, longing, and something that looked dangerously close to hope battled for control. What's her name? His voice had dropped to almost a whisper. Lily. Her name is Lily. And that's when Mia saw it. The exact moment June Park's carefully constructed armor began to crack. His daughter. The one who would have been 19 months old. Her name had been Lily too. But what secret is June hiding about his lost child? And why does Lily's presence feel like both salvation and the most dangerous threat to everything he's built? The sound of approaching footsteps shattered the fragile moment like gunfire. Boss! Kim Tae-young's voice echoed from the main corridor, followed by the heavy boot falls of at least 3 men. We heard crying. Everything secure. June's expression transformed instantly, the vulnerable man vanishing behind a mask of cold authority. But Lily still clung to his leg, her tiny fist wrapped around the fabric of his pants like an anchor. Mia's blood turned to ice. She knew about June's lieutenants from the other staff's terrified whispers. Kim Tae-young was June's right hand, a man who solved problems with bullets first and questions never. If he found her and Lily here, witnesses to their boss's moment of weakness. Sir, please, Mia whispered desperately, reaching for her daughter. We'll leave. We'll disappear. I'll quit tonight. No. The word came out sharp enough to cut. June's eyes met hers, and she saw the calculation happening behind them. The weighing of options that had kept him alive in Seoul's bloodiest power struggles. The footsteps grew closer. Boss! Tae-young called again, suspicion creeping into his tone. June made a decision that would change everything. In one fluid movement, he scooped Lily into his arms. The baby's delighted squeal of up, up, rang through the hallway like a bell, and Mia watched in stunned silence as Korea's most feared crime lord awkwardly adjusted his hold on her daughter. Follow me, he commanded, his voice low and urgent. Stay close. Say nothing. Where? My private wing. Now. The footsteps rounded the corner just as June pivoted toward a hidden door Mia had never noticed. A seamless panel in what looked like solid wall. He pressed something, and it slid open silently. June Hyung. Tae-young's voice was right behind them now. False alarm. June called over his shoulder without turning around. Motion sensors triggered by the cleaning staff. I'm handling it. But as they slipped through the hidden passage, Mia caught sight of Tae-young's face in her peripheral vision. The lieutenant's eyes were sharp, calculating, and fixed directly on the closing door. He'd seen something, or someone. The panel sealed behind them with a soft click, but Mia's heart hammered against her ribs. In the dim corridor beyond, Lily babbled happily in June's arms, completely oblivious to the danger. He saw us, Mia whispered. June's jaw tightened. I know, but what Mia doesn't know is that by entering June's private sanctuary, she and Lily have just become the most valuable and most hunted people in Seoul's criminal underworld. The hidden corridor opened into June's most guarded secret. Children's drawings in expensive frames. A tiny pink ballet slipper on mahogany shelves. This wasn't the cold mansion beyond. This was a shrine to innocence lost. Mama! Lily pointed at the faded artwork, and June's steps faltered. You kept her room, Mia whispered. What was left after the fire? His voice cracked. Min Lily. She was 7. Fire. The word hit Mia like a blow. Lily toddled toward a worn stuffed elephant, and June sank to the floor beside her. This killer watching a child explore his daughter's memory. My men don't know, he said suddenly. 5 years, and I've never brought anyone here. Never spoke her name. Until tonight. June's phone buzzed. Taeyong's voice cutting through the sanctuary. Boss, Choi's men spotted near the perimeter. Could be reconnaissance. June's mask snapped back into place. Double the guards. Lock down all access. Copy. And that disturbance earlier. You sure it was motion sensors? Across the room, Lily curled against the bookshelf with the elephant, eyes drooping. June's gaze lingered on her peaceful face. I'm sure. But as he ended the call, Mia saw the truth. Taeyong suspected. And suspicion in June's world meant bullets. We can't stay here, she whispered. Leaving might be more dangerous. Because tomorrow's meeting with Choi's gang could turn deadly. And Taeyong's growing suspicions might make June's own men the greatest threat of all. 3 hours passed in fragile peace. Lily slept curled against June's chest, her tiny fist wrapped around his thigh like an anchor. Mia dozed fitfully in the leather armchair, jolting awake each time footsteps echoed in the mansion's distant corridors. The sanctuary felt suspended outside time until June's secure phone shattered the quiet. Sir. It was Han Seo-jun, head of security, his voice tight with urgency. We intercepted communications. Choi isn't planning to negotiate tomorrow. June's body went rigid beneath Lily's sleeping form. Explain. It's a setup. He's bringing 30 men, not 5. They're planning to eliminate you during the meeting and take over your territory. Mia's blood chilled. She'd stumbled into the middle of a gang war. There's more, Seo-jun continued. The leak came from inside. Someone's been feeding Choi information about your security protocols, your safe houses, everything. A traitor. In June's inner circle. Taeyong's running trace protocols now, Seo-jun said. We'll have the mole identified within the hour. June ended the call, his face carved from stone. But Mia caught the flicker of devastation in his eyes. Someone he trusted, someone he'd called brother, had sold him out for Choi's blood money. We have to leave, Mia whispered, reaching for Lily. No. June's voice was deadly quiet. Choi knows about this room. The traitor would have told him about my weakness. They'll be watching for you. The truth crashed over Mia like ice water. She and Lily weren't just witnesses anymore. They were bait. He'll use you to get to me, June continued, his arms tightening protectively around Lily. Hurt you to break me, and it would work. The confession hung between them, raw and dangerous. In less than 6 hours, Korea's most feared crime lord had developed the one weakness that could destroy him. He cared about them. Lily stirred against his chest, mumbling dada in her sleep, and June's composure finally cracked completely. But as June's phone buzzes with Taeyong's trace results, neither of them realizes the betrayal runs deeper than anyone imagined, and the real enemy has been watching them all along. My beautiful hearts and soul family, if you're loving this emotional roller coaster, hit that subscribe button and join our community. We have so many incredible stories waiting for you. Tell me in the comments, who do you think the traitor is? The phone buzzed with Taeyong's trace results. June's face went ashen as he read the screen. The device slipped from his fingers, clattering against the hardwood floor. What is it? Mia whispered. The traitor. His voice was barely audible. It's not one of my men. Mia's stomach dropped. Then who? Park Min-yoon. My brother. The words landed like physical blows. June's own blood, the only family he had left after losing Min Lily, had sold him to his enemies. He knows about this room because I trusted him with everything, June continued, his voice hollow. Every safe house, every security protocol, every painful memory of my daughter. Lily stirred in his arms, sensing the tension. Her innocent eyes opened, looking up at the man who'd become her unlikely protector. Alarms suddenly shrieked through the mansion. Boss! Seo-jun's voice crackled through the intercom. Perimeter breach. Choi's men are inside. They came through the service tunnels. Someone gave them the access codes. June was on his feet instantly, Lily confused and frightened in his arms. How many? 20, maybe more. They're moving room to room. Sir, they're not just looking for you. They're calling for a woman and child. Mia's knees nearly buckled. Minjun hadn't just betrayed June's business operations. He'd told Choi about them. About Lily. The panic room, June said, moving toward another hidden panel. You'll be safe there while I...
No.
Mia grabbed his arm. If they know about this room, they know about your panic room too. Gunfire erupted somewhere in the mansion. Lily began to cry. June's empire was crumbling. His brother had destroyed him, and the two people who'd reminded him how to feel were about to pay the price for his blood-soaked past. For the first time in 27 years, June Park had no way out. Through Lily's cries and the distant gunfire, June heard something that stopped his heart. A child's laughter echoing from the corridor beyond. Not just any child. The ghost of his daughter's voice, calling to him across 5 years of grief and guilt. But as the sound faded, June realized what his broken mind was trying to tell him. Min Lily had survived the fire for 20 minutes after he'd pulled her from the flames. 20 minutes where she'd whispered the location of her secret hiding place. The old dumbwaiter behind the kitchen pantry that connected to the wine cellar. The one place Minjun had never known about. There's a way, June breathed, hope flickering in his chest like a candle in darkness. My daughter, she showed me. He pressed a sequence on his phone, not calling his compromised security team, but triggering something deeper. The mansion's original blueprints appeared on screen, showing passages built during the Korean War. The foundation has bunkers, he explained quickly to Mia, connected to the old subway tunnels. Min Lily and I used to explore them. More gunfire. Closer now. Boss! Choi's voice boomed through speakers his men had hijacked. Send out the woman and child, and we'll make this quick. Keep hiding them, and everyone dies slowly. June's jaw hardened with new resolve. For 5 years he'd lived as a dead man walking. But Lily's fearless trust had reminded him what it meant to protect something innocent. What it meant to be someone's hero instead of their nightmare. They won't touch you, he promised. His voice steady for the first time since the alarms began. Either of you. Mia saw the change in him, the transformation from broken survivor to the man who'd built an empire through sheer will. But now that empire would serve love instead of vengeance. Because sometimes salvation comes through the ghost of a lost daughter showing her father how to save another child's future. The dumbwaiter descended through darkness, Lily silent in Mia's arms as June guided them into the mansion's forgotten depths. The bunkers smelled of old concrete and newer fear, but they were alive. Above them, Choi's men ransacked the sanctuary, destroying Min Lily's drawings in their fury. The tunnel opens 3 blocks away, June whispered, leading them through narrow corridors lined with wartime-era supplies. There's a safe house. Footsteps echoed behind them. Hyung, the voice that had once called June brother now dripped with contempt. You always were too sentimental. Minjun stepped from the shadows, flanked by 2 of Choi's gunmen. But his face wasn't victorious. It was ravaged with an anguish that matched June's own. Why? June's question cut through the stale air. Because you killed her. Minjun's voice broke. Min Lily died because of your enemies. Because being Park June's daughter painted a target on her back. And you just kept building your empire on her grave. The truth hit harder than any bullet. Minjun's betrayal wasn't about money. It was about grief. About a brother who blamed June for the fire that took their angel. You think destroying me brings her back? June asked softly. I think it stops you from getting anyone else killed. In Mia's arms, Lily stirred and pointed at Minjun. Sad man? She said simply. The innocence in her voice cracked something in Minjun's armor. His gun wavered as he looked at this fearless child who saw pain instead of threat. "She looks like Min Lily did," he whispered. "Yes," June said. "And she deserves the chance Min Lily never got. To grow up. To be loved without fear." That's when June made his final play. Not with violence, but with the truth that had been eating him alive for 5 years. "The fire wasn't random," he said. "I've known for 3 years who said it. Choi's predecessor trying to force me out of Gangnam. I've been hunting him ever since." Minjun's face went white. You found him?" "Last month. He's in the Han River. Justice. Finally served. But too late to heal a family torn apart by grief and blame. Choi doesn't know you killed his old boss," Minjun realized. "He thinks you're weak now, distracted by the woman and child. Let him think that." Because June had spent 5 years learning every secret tunnel in Seoul's underground, had memorized every escape route, every hidden cache of weapons his father had left from the war era. The lights went out. Emergency power kicked in, bathing everything in red. And in that crimson glow, Korea's most feared crime lord showed his brother why he'd survived when so many others hadn't. 20 minutes later, Choi's men were either dead or fleeing, their boss broken and begging in the mansion's basement. And for the first time since the fire, the Park brothers stood united. 6 months later, the mansion echoed with a different kind of sound. Laughter. Lily's delighted squeals rang through hallways that had once known only whispered threats and silent fear. She chased butterflies in the garden where June had buried his enemies, her chubby legs carrying her toward a swing set that hadn't existed in his world of violence. Mia watched from the kitchen window as June pushed his daughter, because that's what Lily had become, higher toward the Seoul sky. The man who'd once ruled through terror now wore paint stains on his shirt from their morning art session, his dangerous edges softened by unconditional love. "Higher, Appa," Lily called, using the Korean word she'd learned from Minjun, who visited every Sunday with groceries and guilt that was slowly transforming into grace. June's empire still existed, but it looked different now. Legitimate businesses. Protection services for families instead of extortion rackets. The basement interrogation room had become Lily's playroom, filled with the elephants she adored and drawings that slowly healed the spaces where Min Lily's artwork once hung. "The adoption papers came through," Minjun said quietly, joining Mia at the window. In his arms, he held his own surprise, a baby girl he was fostering, taking the first steps toward his own redemption. Mia nodded, her engagement ring catching the afternoon light. June had proposed on the anniversary of that terrible night, kneeling in the same spot where Lily had first reached for him. The ceremony would be small, just family, which now included a reformed crime lord learning to be a father and an uncle finding his way back to goodness through service to children who needed homes. Outside, Lily spotted her mother and uncle through the window. "Iama, come swing." As Mia walked toward her impossible family, she marveled at how a baby's fearless trust had dismantled an empire of violence and rebuilt it on love. How innocence hadn't just disarmed a monster. It had revealed the broken father hiding underneath. June caught her hand as she approached, pulling her close while Lily climbed onto his shoulders. "No regrets," he murmured against her ear. Mia looked at their daughter, safe, loved, growing up knowing she was cherished instead of feared, and at the man who'd traded his crown of thorns for the sacred responsibility of protecting what mattered most. "Only one," she whispered back, smiling as Lily demanded another push. "That we didn't find each other sooner. But perhaps timing had been perfect after all. Because sometimes the most beautiful love stories begin in the darkest places, written by the smallest hands that refuse to let go. My beautiful hearts and soul family, I hope this story touched your heart the way it touched mine. The way innocence can transform even the darkest souls. How love finds a way even in impossible circumstances. Tell me in the comments how this story made you feel, and if you haven't already, Please subscribe to join our community. We have so many more incredible journeys waiting for you.